Well, Marine Le Pen did extremely well in this race. We have to give her that. She has transformed the National Front into presidential material, quite frankly. She has, of course, started this campaign not a year ago. She started much earlier. She started, I would say, in 2011 when she became the president of the National Front. That's when she started reforming this party which was a fringe movement of xenophobes and nationalists. She turned it into almost mainstream. People here in France will tell you today that the National Front is a strong party, and that is thanks to Marine Le Pen, who not only reformed the views of the party, but also expelled her father, the founder of the National Front. So she's doing extremely well for her party, and that, even if she doesn't emerge as the winner later today, that will be good for her in the parliamentary elections, because this also, of course, this presidential election, the second round of the presidential election, is just part of the democratic process here in France, and French voters know that. They know that even if they choose not to vote for either of these candidates, they will get another say in how this country is going to be ruled in the parliamentary elections in just a few weeks' time.
And Anelise, I know you're going to be at a rally where Marine Le Pen will perhaps be celebrating later tonight. Our reporter Anelise Borges there in Paris. Let's go to our correspondent Simon McGregor-Wood, who is standing by outside the Louvre Museum in Paris, where Macron's team is preparing for a rally tonight. Simon, I'm going to start by asking you what the security situation is where you are, because when I was speaking to you earlier, there was a bit of a security threat. Can you tell us exactly what the latest is, and why security generally has been such a big issue for the electorate in France?
Well, as far as we understand, there is still a closure, if you like, on the Louvre Museum. About 45 minutes ago to an hour, a suspicious package was spotted, a bag, I should say, either in or just outside the newly erected press tent, which we got into this morning and got ourselves accredited, and then someone found a bag that didn't belong to anyone, and as a result of that, we're undergoing an ongoing evacuation of the area where Macron's team is preparing for what they hope, obviously, is a victory celebration later this evening. We understand most of the museum is shut down, and we're awaiting word on exactly what the suspicious package is and at what point it will be cleared and we can get back in. But it is a timely reminder that this election, Marlene, takes place under emergency security measures that have been in place since the Paris attacks of November of last year. 50,000 policemen and soldiers are on duty, have been for the 2 weeks of this campaign, to ensure the safety of the candidates, and of course today on the millions of French voters who are going to the polls up and down the country. It's tense for sure.
Simon, let me pick up with something Anelise brought up when I was speaking to her about disillusionment of voters and low voter turnout, concern that many won't see much change in either of these two candidates to France. Picking up on Macron, who, of course, doesn't have a party, how much will he actually be able to change if he does win the election?
Well, there's one view, Marlene, that he needs to win big today. The polling on Friday suggests that he's stretched his lead up to 22 or 3 or 4 points above and ahead of Marine Le Pen. But there is one view that he needs to win comfortably, in excess of 60% plus, to get the momentum he needs to carry his movement forward to the June National Assembly elections that Anelise was mentioning when you were talking to her a moment ago. Don't forget, he's ahead of not a party but a movement. It's barely a year old. He needs to convert this movement, which he's led very charismatically and successfully, into an effective political machine. And it's in the elections to the Assembly, the Parliament, where he next needs to turn his attention, if he wins, to build a credible faction. Ideally, he'll need to win a majority of the 577 seats. It's a tall order, but historically, the Prime Minister comes from the party with the biggest number of seats in the National Assembly. Ideally, he wants to pick his own Prime Minister from his own party, and that would give him the political traction, the deal-making ability that he needs to have to push through his rather radical agenda. So I think it's critical, of course, that first of all he wins, but by how much? I think he will be secretly hoping for a big win, which will give him the momentum to carry him forward into June's National Assembly elections.
OK, Simon, good to speak to you. Simon McGregor-Wood, our correspondent there near the Louvre Museum in Paris, where Macron's team is hoping to have a rally tonight.